All right, well today we are making this cute little metal pumpkin. I've seen so many of these in real size decorating photos for Halloween that I thought the Dollhouse would need to join in. So stay tuned and see how fun and easy this project is. All right, to construct our little pumpkin, we are going to need just a few materials. We need a wooden skewer, and this wooden skewer I have marked a line in pencil about 1/8 of an inch up from the end. We're going to use that as a gluing guide. Then I cut 6 pieces of heavy weight cardstock. This is the 100-pound weight cardstock that I used on part of that barbecue grill that we just got done making. You could do this out of medium weight cardstock, but it's not as sturdy. I did one out of medium weight and it was very difficult to make it look nice. I'm sure it could be done if you were more patient than I am. Then I have, these are 1/8 inch wide by 2.5 inches long. I have marked a mark 1/2 inch from each end on one side. And with that mark on the outside, I am wrapping these around a kind of fat paintbrush handle. You could use a Sharpie marker, anything about that diameter. We just want to pre-curl them. Now, I've got some tacky glue here, and I'm going to try to dip just the area between the line and the end into the tacky glue. And then, at least to begin, I am going to try to line up my pencil line with, on the paper with the pencil line on the stick. So here's my pencil line and there's the pencil line on the stick. And to start out, we're just going to do 2 of these. We're going to do 2 of them straight across from each other. And then I'm going to let this glue that's on there set up because I don't want these to move. Now do make sure that they are running straight with your skewer and do your best to line up those pencil lines and make sure they are straight across from each other. And now I'm going to let this glue dry. I'm going to cover up my glue here that I've got out. When this glue is set up so that these won't move, I'll come back and we'll go to the next step. All right, this glue has dried. I've given it probably an hour or 2. And I like to do these steps in stages because I find the paper strips don't move on me as much. So now we're going to repeat the same process with 2 more. We're going to take 2, we're going to dip from the line. You see I've got the glue almost to the line. See if I can get it there. From the line and up to the end. And this time we don't have to rely on looking where the line is. We line up the ends of our strips. We want it to overlap a little bit. And we're trying to get these as even as we can and straight. And ideally they won't be glued down here so that they'll have a little bit of a curve. Okay, so off camera I am going to fiddle with this a little bit just so I make sure everything is fairly even. And I'm going to let these 2 strips dry and then I'll come back and we'll do the ones on the other side. So once these are dry, I'll be back. All right, so that glue has had a couple hours to dry. And if the lighting is really off, I'm sorry, it is late, but I want to get this glued so it has overnight to dry so I can finish this tomorrow. So we're just going to repeat the same thing on this side. I did use my little clamp just to make sure those would stay in place. And I'm going to clamp them again. So once again, we're repeating the same process. And get that there. And right here, right? Where are we? Right there, looks like a good opening. And kind of look from the top or from the bottom of it and get them as even as you can. All right, I like where those are. I am going to clamp everything and I'm going to let the glue dry overnight and I'll see you in the morning. All right, this is dried overnight, and now to make our lives easier in the later stages when we go to paint this, we're going to put some paint on this inside area of our pumpkin. And I know it doesn't look like a pumpkin yet. I'm going to try to not get too much paint over here because I want to maintain those marks. But I found when I was working on my prototype, as would be obvious, it's really hard to paint in here once you get this glued together. Our finish coat won't matter as much, and if we don't get it completely covered, that's okay too. Just get the majority of it covered. So I'm going to go ahead and paint this side, get it, and let it dry. And once this paint is dry, see I'm slopping a little bit, but not much. Once this paint is dry, we can start doing our gluing of our strips to make this look like a pumpkin instead of a weird flower. So I'll be back when this is dry. All right, our black paint has dried for a couple of hours. Now we're going to start making the pumpkin shape. Take some glue, and this has gotten nice and thick because that's been out on that. It's been undercover, but it's been on that container for since yesterday afternoon. It's now early afternoon. So I'm going to put from that line down. And we're only going to work with the first two. Pick two of them that are straight across from each other. And I'm going to fold it over and try and make that that line end up at about where the ends of the strips are. It doesn't have to be perfect inside. And the first couple are going to be a lot easier, I will tell you that, than the last few. In fact, we may be working on one at a time on the last couple. All right. Fold it down. Try and make it as even as possible with the one across from it. Try and make it line up with the skewer. And this will be easier when you're not trying to keep it under camera and see what you're doing and keep your fingers out of the way of the camera and all those other challenges that I face here. Okay, come on. I'm going to hold this for a few seconds until it wants to stay, and then I'm going to put the clamp back on it off camera because I want to get it up close to my face where I can make sure everything's lined up. And then I'm going to let this glue dry for at least a half hour or so, maybe longer, just so I make sure it's not going to budge when I go to the next pair. When this is dried enough that I feel comfortable moving on to the next pair, I will come back and we'll do those together. So I'll see you then. All right, this is dried overnight, and now we're going to add some glue. I'm going to add glue in two places. We're actually going to just do one of these right now. So I'm going to put glue on this area. just from that line towards the end. And then we're going to bend it and kind of force it over so that we're leaving a space for the one that'll go next to it. And if these aren't perfectly straight, that's okay. And then we're going to let that glue dry before we do the next piece, which will be the one next to it. So I'm going to let this dry, and then I'll be back. All right, now that that is staying put, we're going to do this one. And we're just going to fit it in between the other two. And I think I'll do the other two off camera because otherwise this is going to get really long. Because we're just going to repeat the same process on the other half. Fit it in, get it in here, and you may have to hold it for a while to get it to stay in place. Once it stays in place, it can sit until it dries and then work on the other side. So when I get all 6 of these strips glued down, I will come back and we can start our painting. All right, this is all glued and it's fairly even. I didn't get mine all completely even, but it's okay. I think some of the ones that you buy real size are not completely even either. Now we're going to put a coat of black paint on the remainder of this on the outside of the strips. Be sure you've gone somewhat up the handle here, the wooden skewer, because we will be trimming it later. We're going to get this completely painted and then we'll just touch up the cut end. So I am going to get paint in. I'm going to work paint down into that area, which I will finish when I've got this, when I get the camera turned off so I can actually see what I'm doing. So I'm going to get this paint dry. We only need one coat. Try to get everything. And once this paint has dried, and you'll want this to dry completely before you go on to the next coat. And so once mine is dry, I will be back and we can put our final finish on it. All right, the black paint is dry and we are going to put the final finish on and then cut this off and touch up the top. So I've got a black base on here. I really wanted to make this copper, but I didn't have any copper craft paint and I don't have time to get to the craft store. But I have copper colored nail polish. This is LA Colors in Exposed, and it was from the dollar store. I love this color on my nails, but I played with it on top of the black paint, and it works really well. So I am going to go ahead and color and paint, basically paint this or polish it with the copper nail polish. I will probably do 2 coats just to make sure I have a good coat because it's a cheaper nail polish. It's not a super thick one. So it can be a little translucent and it's not really designed to go over black paint, but it works really well. I will see what it looks like after a coat. When I will come back when this is completely dry and I've got however many coats I decide I need. So when that is the case, I will be back and we can go to the next step. All right, I put a second coat of the nail polish on here and I love how it turned out. Now I've got just some pet claw trimmers. I love these for cutting round things because they don't distort the shape and they're nice and strong. They won't break cutting something like a wooden skewer. Now, we are going to, do I have something disposable too? I'll just use the end of my toothpick. What I want to do is just put a little bit of black paint on the top of this, just so it doesn't have raw wood. And then once this paint is dry off camera, I'm going to go ahead and put some more of the copper nail polish on it. And when this is all dry, I will come back and show you how our finished pumpkin looks. So I'll see you then. All right, there is our completed little pumpkin. Be sure and check the blog post. I'll try and have some good photos over there. It's Really difficult to get this where the camera can really see it well. The video camera is not doing it justice. It turned out pretty much exactly like I had envisioned, and I love this. I'm seeing so many of them in Halloween decorating pictures from real houses that I thought the dollhouse needed one. So if you enjoyed today's video, be sure and hit the like button. Leave me a comment. What kinds of things would you like to see in future videos? If you enjoy my content and haven't subscribed, I encourage you. Hit that subscription button and the notification bell so you know when I put up a new video. Thank you very much for watching today, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.